Good morning. It is still morning, right? Okay, so for those of you who have not been to an annual meeting, this takes the place of the FYI meeting this month. But we have just a couple FYI items to cover that were brought forward. And they were communication on missed housekeeping. So some of your housekeepers have been out because of COVID, as have other members of the community. And rescheduling that will be a challenge, but we'll work with Johan and trying to get you covered where we can. I'm sure you'd rather skip cleaning than have a COVID positive housekeeper cleaning it, right? So, and then written information on quarantine and isolation. Does anybody still have questions about that? Quarantine is when you're suspected or have been exposed. Isolation is when you are confirmed. Okay? And then there was a suggestion made about the various resident committee highlights from each meeting being included in the weekly letter. I think those items are usually put in your minutes from the different meetings. To put them into the weekly letter would be redundant, and we don't always have space for those kinds of things without making it a multiple page mislet. So, all right, and give you I know what everybody wants to know, the update on COVID, where we are with COVID. The good news, if you remember when we were talking about this Omicron versus the Delta and everything before, that it's been kind of the other variants were kind of this sloping, gradual mountain, kind of up and down to reach the peak, and it went on for months. The Omicron is more like the Eiffel Tower, where it's been this quick up and then quick down. And we seem to be on this quick downside of it. The testing that we did yesterday, and you all recall that we do twice a week testing of all of the associates, and then response testing of residents based on what we see in community spread. So all of the staff in assisted living and all of the residents in assisted living, all of the residents in skilled nursing are being tested each week. And from all of the testing that we did on the 24th, which was Monday, we have had only one positive return, and that was an associate. So when you compare that to our spike, which was around the 10th of the month, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19. We had 19 at the 10th of the month. So, that seems to be where we were. We're not out of the woods by any stretch of the means, but I think we have done a fairly good job of managing that and moving on. When you compare this time to this time last year, a year ago, right now currently we have probably only 4 people that are still out on isolation leave. This time last year, we had 42. Oh. So give yourselves a hand. Give them a hand. So everybody's doing a really good job with it. So we're happy with that. So we'll continue monitoring COVID very, very carefully and very closely. What we're seeing is that the flu is now making a resurgence. So if you haven't had your 2022 flu vaccination, I strongly encourage that. Please make an appointment to get it. If you need help making an appointment, let us know. We'll help you with that. It would be terrible to survive all this COVID and then let the little old flu get you. So, all right. So with that, we'll move into the annual meeting. I realize that Craig printed some of the things impossibly small. And one of them is almost impossible to read because of the way it's copied, and we weren't able to redact the information and put it on a different thing. So I'll go through some of that with you. The 2022 budget has not been officially finalized yet. With the change in ownership that delayed things and moving things forward, but I have, I'm relatively confident that what we're presenting will be included in the final. So if you look at the agenda that starts with financial overview, and Craig is here to keep me honest. And so for 2021, this is our review and our retrospective review on what we did in 2021. So in 2021, we had an income of $13,041,000, and the budget was we had budgeted to have an income of $14,475,000. So we were short, came up short $1,400,000. If you look at expenses, we had overall expenses of $11,100,000. We were budgeted for $11,800,000. So we came in $723 under what we budgeted for expenses, which left an operating income of 1.9 on a budget of 2.6, or an overall shortfall of 710,000 for 2021. We did not lose money, though. I want you to be confident in that. That didn't mean we lost money. That was strictly income versus expenses. For our census trends, and these were numbers that we used to project the 22 budget. The census trends in 2017, at year end, we had 134 occupied independent living apartments. In 2018, that number went up to 155. 2019, we were at 157. In 2020, we dropped down to 141. And in 2021, last year, we grew back to 143. So 143 is not where we want to be. You know, we'd rather be up in the 150s, but it's nowhere as bad as it was in 2017. So that's a positive. We're looking at how many admissions and move-ins we're projecting for this year. We are projecting an average of 2 move-outs per month. So over the course of the year, we'll average about 24 move-outs, either through relocation or through death. And if you compare that to the sales that we had, in 2017 we had 27 IL cells, 2018 47, and then in 2019 29, 2020 only 11. Other things were going on in 2020. And then in 2021, we were back up to 26. So we have put a lot more resources into our marketing for this coming year. You'll see that reflected when we get into some of the budget assumptions. We've gotten really good data on where we do our marketing, where we're focusing it now, and the target demographics. So all of those will work well. For the 2021 expenses, you will see the wage increases, or the minimum wage has increased to $15. So that's an impact on the 2022 budget. In 2021, it rose to 14. We're now capped at that 15, so we've reached the minimum wage. You know, there was planned minimum wage increases of $1 all along. $15 is now the cap, so there won't be that increase again in 2023. However, what we're seeing is that across the board, in order to remain competitive, and you've all seen the signs, help wanted everywhere, 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 that the overall wages are going to have to increase to stay competitive in the market. So Lori's working on a new wage scale right now, actually, to put out to see where we can go. Revenue from the Springs. So this was 2021 revenue from the Springs was $4,019,000 on a budget of $4,006,000. Now, roughly, that's a difference of.
Sorry, that should be 2021 revenue. Sorry.
2021 revenue, not 2020. And so that was there was about a $600,000 and some shortfall in revenue from the Springs. If you refer back up to the financial overview section, our overall shortfall was $710,000. So the majority of the shortfall in revenue was directly attributed to the Springs. The Springs had the hardest hit in census. Back in January of 2020, we were down to an all-time low of 6 patients. Oh, 2021, sorry, a year ago. So 2021, we were down to 6 patients in skilled. So we've seen that grow back. We were at...
we ended 2021 at about 29.
Yeah, we had 2930 in December. We were up to that. Right now, we've slid back to 15. And that was again because of COVID and the recent stuff with COVID and not being able to admit. But we have every confidence that we're going to move back forward. Our referral sources, Eisenhower Hospital, the HMOs that we work with, they all have us as a preferred provider, meaning they would like to have their patients come here. So we're one of the first choices for them. All right, significant expenses that we had in 2021, and people always kind of find these interesting, is our electric bill for the whole property was just over $500,000. How'd you like that one? Water, $120,000, and then natural gas was $80,000 for the year. Natural gas seems like a big bargain when you compare it to those other numbers. Property taxes were $600,000, and so that stayed fairly the same. It's about $50,000 a month. It has been for a few years. Insurances, $640,000. Our work comp insurance was to $157,000. That's dropped this year in this budget because of our experience ratio. Waste removal, $44,000. The renovation cost when we do a complete renovation in an apartment or a casita is averaging between $49,000 and $58,000 with a 60-day turnaround. Okay. In 2021, our media placements were $100,000. We spent $108,000 on media placement throughout the year. This was all the way back in September. The Legionella treatment was about $32,000, and the way that came about was because we had to put in place the new water management plan, which was a regulatory requirement, and that plan costs us $21,000 a year. So to make sure we have had safe drinking water was about $50,000 this year. COVID emergency response, and these are all the extra supplies and things that we have to have on hand for COVID, was about an additional $130,000. And the wage impact from for the 2022 salary increases. So this is what we budgeted for salary increases in 2022 over 2021 is about $218,000. Some expense reductions that we had put in place last year, which resulted in a savings of about $230,000, was we combined the social service and admissions position in skilled nursing. We eliminated the dining room manager program. Most of the year we didn't have a dining room. And elimination of one medical director position. We used to have 2 medical directors in the community, and we dropped that down to 1. We reduced the business office support, so this is Frances. She works only 4 days a week in the business office and then 1 day a week at the front desk. And maintenance was reduced by 1 position. You all recall David and Benji. I was gonna hyphenate their names because they were never apart. It was like Ben Baited or whatever. When they left, we decided they were really doing the work of 1, so we only replaced them with 1. Lydia retired, and we did not backfill her position. And then we dropped the drivers down to 2 rather than 2.5. And then all of 2020, we deferred any department head salary increases. So none of the department heads had salary increases in 2020. 2021, sorry. The historical rate increases are right here. You'll see they go from 4 and 3% back in 2016 and 17 to 2021 was 5.5%, and then the rate increase for this year is 5%. In bad debt, and Craig puts these in here because these are his numbers and it makes him look like a superstar. The 2021 bad debt was projected to be less than 1%. The final number was 0. So he's done a good job. You've done a good job paying your bills. He's done a good job collecting. But that number is really mostly reflective from the skilled nursing revenue. And it's a very complicated process to bill for skilled nursing and with billing the government and everything else and keeping things in track and getting the money in. So they do a very good job there. Again, in 2022, we're anticipating it to be less than 1%. So bad debt is services that we provide and we don't get paid for. And so, it stays really on top of it to make sure. For 2022, our proposed capital budget expenditures will be $1.6 million. That has not been finalized yet by Welltower Trevi, but part of the transition to the new owner group was that they were committed to putting financial resources back into the community. And I'll go over, that's one of the pages that you cannot read. I'm not even going to say it's going to be hard to read. You will not be able to read it. I'll go over what some of those capital improvements are. The satisfaction survey that was done in the fall, we don't have the results yet. When we get the results, we'll share them at a future FYI meeting. For programming, Carlotta Cares has been put on hold really for the last couple of years, and the commitment this year going forward from Community Life will be a front and center program to get residents involved, residents and associates back involved in philanthropic and community activities. The return to, and these deliberately put in quotations, normal, community life events has begun. We've started reintroducing what was normal community life kind of events, working with the Community Life Advisory Group in what we want to bring back. This is a good opportunity to reevaluate what we were doing, finding out what was beneficial, what we can change, what kind of new things we can offer. We did build into the budget this year more financial resources for community life than we had in the past. And so, looking to see what we can do, what is of interest, getting back to the whole person approach to what you want and what is beneficial, how we can really move the community forward. The one big change that's coming, the community life will be monitoring, is the Life Loop program, which is the, to really simplify it, it's the in-house channel. You know, when you go, if you stay in a hotel, they have that one channel where it shows you the highlights for the day and where you can go to, you know, get a hamburger at midnight and all those kinds of things. So Life Loop is coming. And we're one of the first communities that will be rolling out with it. Hope to have it fully up and running by May. It's involved. There's a lot of interface that has to happen with Spectrum Television to integrate the channel. They have already been here to look at the system and what will need to be done. And in order to get it there, get everyone proficient in how to manage it and use it, is probably May is realistic, but maybe possibly earlier. Okay? The 2021 tax letter.
I requested an answer yesterday. I have not heard back yet.
Craig doesn't know when it's going to be.
As soon as we get it, everyone will have it.
Yeah, he'll get it out to you as soon as we do it. If you want to look at the page that says budget assumptions, this is how we develop the coming budget and what the expenses were. So for 2022, the net room and board projections are $14,000,009, which is an increase of $117,000 over 2021. And that is that increase is based on including the 5% rate increase and adding additional occupancy. So the net other income is 1.2, and other income includes additional housekeeping and maintenance services, the Care Plus charges from additional services in IL and AL, and the second person occupancy charges. That increase is about $800,000 over 2021. We've seen an overall increase in benefit costs of $60,000, and those are the benefits for vision, dental, health insurance. So our costs went up $60,000. The Watermark is largely self-insured when it comes to health insurance, but we did add Kaiser this year as an option for associates to choose from. And if we were not self-insured, that number would have been over $1 million in the increase. Workers' comp decreased over $40,000 this year from what we had last year. That's due to a 3-year experience ratio and the work of the safety committee in identifying safety hazards, keeping our staff well and safe. And although we did have, last year, we did have some big expenses in workers' comp. So, looking at that, we've had a couple, we had somebody who fractured their arm, another who damaged their knee. So a few things like that we continue to work on and look at to keep the overall costs down and to keep everybody safe. That's what our number one goal is. Overall total administration increase was about $30,000. So when you total all those things up, the overall impact to the bottom line was an additional $30,000. For professional services, and this includes all of the software, all of the programming that Craig uses, all of our electronic medical records. There was an increase of $30,000 in the cost there. That also includes the Life Loop in there. Legal fees was a jump of $25,000. Management fees increased by $50,000. That's the management fees is what we pay to Watermark. So, and included in there is all of the support that they give us, the resource support, the overarching management of financial programs, things like that. So insurance saw an increase of $20,000. That is directly related to COVID. There was, all the insurances are increasing by COVID. They're anticipating as an industry that we'll start to see lawsuits from people who contracted COVID in a facility. So, and we're seeing that across, all of our associations that we belong to. And then we had a $4,000 increase in security costs. Again, that's directly related to the increase in minimum wage. So that, the security company had an increase in their costs, bringing people up to minimum wage. They had to pass that on to us. For maintenance, we had the addition of the $21,000 for the water management programs. The total maintenance costs to manage the community here is $1,600,000. That is an increase of only $2,000 over last year. Okay. Landscaping saw an increase of $6,000, and again, that was directly attributed to the $1 an hour increase for their staff. In housekeeping and laundry, the increase was $42,000 over 2021, and that number is anticipating the need for additional housekeepers as the census grows. And then laundry, we saw a $20,000 decrease in what our projected expenses were over 2021. In community life, I swear she didn't know the agenda. She was up next.
She has a training on life.
Yeah.
Oh, she is going to a training on Life Loop. So, community life was a decrease of $29,000 over 2021. The total cost to operate community life in the community here is $250,000. Events increased $4,000 over 2021, and supply increases of $6,000. So an additional $10,000 was put into those two categories for 2022. Transportation saw a decrease of $22,000, and that was mostly the elimination of the half-person position. And then in food service, the total labor costs in food service are $990,000. That's a $120,000 increase over 2021. That is mostly related to having to bring their wages up above the minimum in order to be able to attract more staff. And there were that includes additional wage and benefit increases. When you bring the wages up that much, there's going to be additional impact on benefits. We are reintroducing the dining room hostess position in 2022. I'm not committing to a date. But in 2022, we did budget for it. But that will be dependent upon bringing census up to where we have budgeted census to be. And then total food for 2022 is an increase of $100,000, bringing the total food costs for 2022 to $1,700,000. Okay. Nursing wages. So this includes the wages in skilled nursing and the wages for the AL wellness staff. Is a total of $3,292,000, which is an increase of $278,000 over last year. And a lot of that is a portion of that is minimum wage, not a lot of it. A portion of it's minimum wage. Some of it is having to readjust the professional staff, the licensed nurses' salaries have had to go up. There's even to entertain to hire a nurse anymore is you just have to be competitive against the hospitals and everywhere else. So The total nursing costs to operate in the community are $3.4 million. And then in sales and marketing, we have total expense for 2022 budgeted at $500,000 or $503,000, which is a $25,000 increase over 2021. Advertising, you can see, makes up the biggest portion of that, or all of it. And so advertising, we're running, we'll plan to spend $183,000 next year in advertising. And looking at, a lot of that is now online placement, and the companies that are managing that for us to keep our name up at the top of the list on the Google search. When somebody does a Google search, we want Carlotta to come back up, you know, at the top. When you say senior care Palm Desert, the more I don't even pay per click, it's called. So the more clicks you get, the more you go to the top of the list. And so that's what that company does for us. So to summarize the 2022 budgets, the total income we're projecting is $16,900,000. And compare that to 2021, which is $15,800,000. And then total expenses will be $14,096,000 compared to what we had budgeted in 2021 of $12,009,000. So that all of that work, all that effort leaves us with a margin of $2,008,000
Profit.
of
Profit.
we call it margin, and this is before all the bottom line expenses are in there, and so we really kind of break even at the end of the year for this budget. Any questions? All right.
Hold on, there's one question.
Oh,
Just one quick question. You mentioned skill. My insurance doesn't cover our skill, it's another one in town. How could I facilitate maybe you or my insurance working together as contractors? Is there a way, perhaps? See, I don't even need a
If your
microphone.
insurance starts with a K,
No.
okay. We are working with that insurance to possibly become, but that's a correct question then.
Yeah, it's a health net. What health net
Health Net is one of those insurances that if you're not contracted with, they basically don't
don't.
deal with you. So, and we've not ever been contracted with Health Net, so in
Okay.
this case, the answer would just be, you'd have to either switch
Okay.
insurances or.
Well, I just won't get ill, that's all.
Yeah, just stay healthy. There you go.
well, that's always the best part. The other option you have is the 10 life care days. You know, you have the 10-year life care days that you use with us. So, any other questions about that? All right, now on to the impossibly hard to read.
I'm sorry, I had to take a spreadsheet that was this big.
The
Welcome back. I love
it's
the
somewhat readable. I can read it. All right, so for the 16 million that we have budgeted for capital improvements, 1.6 million, sorry.
Oh, we're doing 60 million? Wow.
We're going to rebuild, there we go. Those will include, or included in that, is the entry lobbies actually that's postponed to 2023. So for the entry lobbies, like the west and north, south lobbies over here, we want to take up the flooring, the hard tile white flooring, and some of the bamboo flooring that can't be refinished, and redo those. That was postponed into 2023. So we'll live with the flooring that we have there now. For the skilled nursing, it's a redo of the therapy gym. If any of you have had the opportunity to use that gym, it was kind of a secondary thought, and it never was really developed into what it should be and what it could be. So we've budgeted $100,000 to redo the therapy gym, bring in new equipment, make the room more functional for the residents who use it and the therapist. Redoing the skilled nursing shower rooms. They're original 1986. If anybody wants to take a blast into the past, go visit those shower rooms. And the AL living room is already 20 years old, if anybody can imagine that. If you were here when that was built, it's 20 years ago already. And hasn't had a refresh in those 20 years other than carpet. So that room gets used hard and is well deserving. It's the only real social gathering spot for AL. So we have allocated $75,000 for renovation of that area. In the second floor, that's pushed off to 2023, sorry. And then the skilled nursing station. It has $100,000 budgeted to redo the nursing station. That includes a total tear down of it and rebuilding it so that it's more HIPAA compliant and little less institutional than what it is. So that so the goal is to make the skilled nursing center feel more home-like and inviting. And so we've budgeted $100,000 for that. That includes also new data drops, line drops for the increased cost of being able to keep up with all of the new electronic charting, all the things that go along with that. The $12,000 to add an electric door opener to the wellness entrance next to the dog park. So back when you could go there was a concern that people couldn't open both doors to get in. And to put the electric door opener on those doors is going to be $12,000. So we budgeted for that. And then the residents of the casitas who look at the trash enclosure will be happy to know we've budgeted $10,000 to replace the doors, the gates on the trash enclosure, and with steel doors so that it doesn't look trashy. Replacing the security cameras and security monitoring equipment around the community, we've budgeted $100,000 for that. Most of the cameras right now are just dummy cameras. The technology, the software is old. It can't be replaced. It doesn't be used, or isn't used. And a lot of the cameras never did function. They were just put up as decoy cameras. What's that?
I'm surprised. Nothing.
Well, I was too when I found out that they never did work. Okay. They look like they should.
If they're supposed to operate around the clock or just in the evening, the security cameras.
They would normally work 24 hours, but right now none of them are reliable for that.
So what's happening in the night? I mean, nobody's watching?
The cameras were never monitored. So there was never anybody that was sat and watched the security cameras. That would require an entirely full-time person to sit there and look at that. So it's that when we reinstall the cameras, have a security expert coming in looking at where to place them. But it won't be these cameras that are everywhere around the community right now.
But you will have a new system.
Correct.
But they'll be set up so that they can be recorded, right?
Yeah, they'll be recorded, and they're recorded for a specific amount of time. So the security cameras do not prevent any kind of crime or things like that. They're a way to go back and look it's a look back to see if you can, have captured who might have done something. But they're not intended to provide prevention.
But that's more than we have now.
That is more than we have now, you're correct. All right. And then, in addition to that, we're planning to add 90,000 in perimeter security. So we're looking at eliminating all the E keys, the exit keys, and going to a system where you use a swipe card to go in and out of exit doors. And with that, we can restrict movement through the community, different doors. We can, give certain access to housekeepers, give certain access to maintenance, things along those lines. And thereby really kind of tightening up who can get in and get out of the building. And then knowing who has gone in and gone out. This one is one we're all anxiously waiting for, and it is the asphalt repair around the property. And this involves a complete takedown of all the asphalt surfaces, and not to the ground. It's taking 2 inches, 3 inches off, and then repaving. So that one is $150,000 to do that. And then we have budgeted, we have capital expenses, lease expenses for the buses and the vans. So that's included in here always. And then the Life Loop program, Life Loop, installing Life Loop, is an initial capital outlay of $8,000. And then we have the regular things that we always have to budget for. Included in that is almost $200,000 for air conditioning replacements and repairs, and $85,000 in what's called a needlepoint ionization system for the common area air conditioning systems, like in this room, other big rooms, where it's installing an additional layer of filtration and air purification. And that's in response to COVID going forward. So that, maybe this time next year we don't have to be here with masks on. And then a replacement of the phone system, which we're budgeting $11,000 for replacement of the phone system. But the overall plan is for us to, for Carlotta to get out of the telephone business, and for all of you to subscribe to your own systems through Spectrum and things like that. It's already set up that you can do that. And so sometime over the next 3 months, you'll be receiving official notice from us that you'll need to switch over, port your numbers into Spectrum system. And then you'll have your own phone systems that won't go through us. Okay? Oh, and then we also have budgeted $25,000 in medical equipment. That includes new lift equipment, patient lift equipment for skilled nursing and for assisted living. And a lot of that ties into patient safety as well as staff injury reduction. Okay. So that's kind of a big overview of what we have planned for capital.
Were the skilled nursing individual rooms ever remodeled?
They've been partially remodeled. There is inclusion in here to do. I think there's 200,000.
Let me get my paper. That's not real quick. There is a refresh in there, like paint that and flooring. There's a refresh in there for a certain holding it back. There's a refresh in here for a certain number of skilled nursing rooms, so it would be a situation where we would do a phase, a section of rooms at a time.
Does that include the furnishings?
Well, if you all remember our lovely storage center on the north side, that included that. So all of the rooms got the new beds, the new updated larger beds, new dressers, nightstands, recliner chairs, and then there's new televisions that are gonna be going in there as well, and artwork. So the furnishing pieces got done last year.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the Watermark built a skilled nursing community in Tucson. It was called the Hacienda at the River. And it was built as a very high-end skilled nursing center and assisted living.
Yeah, it was and there was a small memory care as well.
And the skilled nursing portion of it never took off. You know, I don't know what, it opened unfortunately just before COVID. And so it never had an opportunity to really become what it's, you know, to realize its potential. And they made the determination to convert the skilled nursing portion of it into assisted living. And they asked us if we wanted the furniture. And I had seen the furniture. And I was like, yeah, they said, you pay to you know, have it shipped to you and it's yours. So we got about $400,000 worth of furnishings for $40,000 in shipping costs. So it was, and so the beds are wider beds than standard hospital beds. The side furniture is more like you would see in a hotel, and so it actually is very nice. They included artwork too. So we got artwork, we got different headboards for the walls. It was a nice job. Oh, all the bedspreads and linens came with it. It was a very good deal.
Yes.
So, yes, and 40 zillion bath mats. So anybody needs a bath mat, let me know. We'll have a bath mat giveaway soon. And then the televisions are what, 50-inch?
Sure.
50, 55-inch televisions.
They're large televisions. Yeah,
So,
they're large.
to-
I would say at minimum 50 inches. I might be willing to add on the ledge of a little bit larger.
Yeah. So and all of those came too. But we've one of Johann's new tasks on his task list is going to be get the televisions put in. The challenge we had was they were all wall mounted in Tucson, but we can't wall mount them here without going through the OSHPD and the state and everything, and Ellen can tell you that's a nightmare. And so we had to find bases to attach to them so we could put them, you know, not on the walls. So we have those now, so we'll get those put out. So I should have at the beginning of the meeting introduced Johann, if you want to stand up. Many of you probably had the opportunity already to meet him. Johann is your new Environmental Services Director. In charge of landscaping, housekeeping, maintenance, safety, all of those. So.
Welcome.
Thank you. Would you? I'm putting him on the spot. I didn't tell him this. Would you like to take a moment and just tell him a little about your background?
Sure. Take off the mask.
Yeah, take off your mask. So that you
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. I'm very happy to be part of this fantastic team.
You have to put the microphone.
And I think it's
You have to hold it a little closer.
okay. Now you can hear me. So I was saying I'm very happy to be part of this magnificent community, and I look forward to apply knowledge and experience to the residents. I've been in this field for quite a few years. My experience pretty much is in general maintenance, but including also some areas like, which is for me is very important to provide you is safety, and especially some certifications I have through EPA, which is now is very appropriate to apply. Environmental protection, and of course OSHA. Those certifications, for me, they are very valuable now to apply to the community. Now, in terms of be part of your daily activities, I'm completely open. I'm the person who's gonna be not actually sitting at my desk, which is, I hate that. I'm gonna be in the field with a fantastic team I have, either in maintenance and housekeeping. So I know this is for me it's a beginning. I'm just in the process of the onboarding process. It takes a couple of weeks more probably, but I'm working shoulder to shoulder with my team. So look forward for you guys to feel free to contact me. Okay, I will definitely do my time and put time extra to talk to you directly for any necessities you have. My intention is to provide, as a watermark philosophy, the best service for our residents. So look forward to be with you guys in your daily activities, your needs, and let's go on. Thank you.
Thank you, it's Johan. Johan. And, okay, and along those lines, we'll jump back to the kind of the FYI part of it. Some of you may already know, some of you may not. Jenny Cunningham, who is no longer with us. But we have, in each loss, there's opportunity. Wylon, who's been working in the wellness department, has a background in management and in managing communities like ours. And so she's expressed an interest in moving up into the position, and she's proving herself to be quite competent. So Wylon will be stepping up into management in the wellness department. And then we've also interviewed, or we're in the process of finalizing interviews of a gentleman named Mike, which is not the name on his application. And he most likely, once he clears the final part of the background and interview process, will be joining us in the wellness department as well. And then we'll look at how we're going to reorganize the responsibilities there to provide services. Okay? Laura, you want to give a quick update on where we are with staffing and what kind of things are coming up?
Okay, well, I was gonna say, that might help. We are pretty much where we were a month ago, but I have 2 people in orientation today that I brought with me. So they're in the back. One is going to be a skilled nursing
Come on up.
CNA, and the other is an assisted living caregiver. So I'll introduce them.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah,
I wondered who they were.
I brought them with me, so this is Christina and Monica. We also have another community life associate joining us. She was going to be in this orientation group, but due to circumstances beyond her control, she'll be starting next week, next Wednesdays. And we also have a server coming in to start her paperwork today. Oh, thank God.
Running out of hats.
I know. And fingers crossed, Becky and I have interviews with 3 servers tomorrow. So fingers crossed they show up, pass back, all the steps fall into place. So that's happening.
That's the best thing I've heard all day.
Yep. So, and then there's a couple more that we'll bring in for interviews, but those are the ones we have set up, so. I know, right? That's relief. And then we're going to be rescheduling our job fair. I know I said last time we were going to have a job fair, but with the COVID surge, we decided it wasn't prudent at this time to bring in a bunch of people we don't know. So we'll be rescheduling that, coming up as soon as we're loosened up a little bit, and who we can admit. Any questions for me while I'm here? I know in answer to your question from before, my coffee class is starting the end of February. I think, I don't have the date, but it's the I want to say 26th. So we're going to do it at 10 in the morning, 26, once a month, talk about coffee. Yeah. Anything, and so I'm going to be open to what you want to talk about with coffee. So our first one, we're going to sip coffee. We're going to talk about what you want to learn about, what we want to talk about. You know, it's going to be very informal. So we're going to call it like coffee talk, I think. Something like that. Yes.
Another question. The elimination of the dining room manager, that's not the dining services director, is it?
No. That was a position we never got filled. We had budgeted for it. Then COVID happened, closed down the dining room. We didn't get it hired for, so now we're just moving forward.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
Oh, true.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, they just never started.
Yes, he did.
No.
Eric?
No, he was in skilled nursing.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute. Somebody write that down. Got it. Okay, Bill.
Oh, can we write that down?
No, it's on film. We're fine.
Okay, good. Molly and I are right. Any other questions?
Any news on our director from dining services?
Yes. I don't have a firm date, probably mid-March. He'll be back.
Yeah. So,
unfortunately.
and Jose's given permission to share that. He had surgery on his elbows. And one of the surgeries failed. So he's having to have it redone.
Yes.
And, but we are looking at finding a way that he can safely come back on a modified duty. The problem is he's such a go-getter that, you know, he's gonna want to do things and, you know, then it's gonna be another 6 months. So.
Right, so we're gonna get his doctor to sign off on that. Because his doctor knows his personality, so, you know, so we gotta work with the doctor and everybody to get it all coming back, but hopefully he'll be home. He'll be here soon, because we all miss him. Any other questions for me? Yes.
What's the capacity of this new mic in wellness? What level? Are we talking a caregiver, a CNA, a LVN?
He's had a career in the Army, and he was a nurse in the Army. He's a nurse.
No, that was after.
Oh, that was out. No, not Army. And he was in the Army in a management role.
Yes.
And then afterward, he got out, became an LVN. He's currently in RN school. And so he's looking for an opportunity where he can use his management background and he can grow with the organization. So, we brought him in, Molly toured him last week, Thursday or Friday.
I toured him Friday, so he saw me at 10 o'clock with somebody that was him.
And so he's brought a lot of insight already into how he would, you know, work and manage the program, which is, you know, provides us with a lot of understanding of how he'll approach the challenges.
Thank you. That sounds exciting. Thank you.
Yep. That is exciting.
You're interviewing somebody in activity department, was it?
No, she's already hired, but she's starting orientation next Wednesday. She's a community life because, I can't think of her name, Corey is leaving. In assisted living.
Okay. Is Zena still here?
Zena has moved to medical records in the skilled nursing, so she's doing that now. So we have another opening, so we'll have hire for that position too. So
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity for Zena. So you know.
Oh, good.
She is looking forward to learning and growing and that, so it's excellent that we can provide that for her and she's stayed within our organization. So.
Zena has a designation as senior partner. So the partner program that we have at the Carlotta is to develop future talent. And so when somebody expresses an interest in learning more or being more, it's a mentorship program basically. And in moving forward, so Zena's been in that program with us, and you've seen her with additional responsibilities. Basically, she ran community life while, Vanessa was out having her babies. And so, we saw in her the potential to do things, and this medical records position became available, and she told us that's where she wanted to focus her on her part of her mentorship. So that's where she's going with that. Okay.
All right, so I'm off to finish orientation.
Bye, thank you. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
One of the problems which the dining room has had is running out of things, especially towards the end of the evening. Can you give us an update on how the food supply situation is being handled?
Yeah, I could give you a lot of insight. I have really enjoyed working in the dining room. I truly have. But it also has afforded me an opportunity to see behind the scenes. And this is not to cast aspersion on anybody right now. Everybody's working at full capacity, and Jose's not been in there to help, and God bless Becky. But the way that we're preparing food needs to be changed. Somewhere they deviated away from the small batch preparations. They were supposed to be preparing small batches and having it available. That way you would not run out of things because you have another small batch ready to go and prepare. The way that the overall dining room service is organized is not organized. And the logistics of where things are placed in the kitchen lend itself to mishaps, accidents, forgetting where things are, and a lot of wasted steps. You have to go from here to there, back to here, over to here. And just to prepare, the beverages for a table. If you guys are ordering red wine, I have to go over here to get the red wine. If you want white wine, I have to go back over to here to get the white wine. And then, God forbid, you order rosé. Because it's never in the same place. Ellen. And then water, you have to go to the middle to get the water, but if you want a carafe, you have to go back around the counter, get the carafe. It's not organized. It's very disorganized. And so when we get back up to the, where we can focus on that kind of stuff, I'm going to go in there and work with them on kind of how we can reset that to make it more efficient. In the back of the house, the back of the kitchen, the POS system, yesterday got fixed. Well, mostly fixed. We're waiting on Craig to do his part again. Somewhere along the lines, the wires literally got crossed. And we don't know who did it. We're not, whatever. We figured it out. And so now all of the hardware should be functioning, but it's been off for so long we have to upgrade some of the software. So he's in contact with the company to do that this afternoon, I think, actually. So they'll get that going, and then we can go back to using the tablets. The tablets now will interface with the kitchen line so that the kitchen line can prepare the foods and do it, because at first when I was in there, I was like, huh? How are we doing this? You gotta, what? and then I've got to go put my ticket on the little thing, and then I've got to make sure that my ticket gets moved so that I can bring it to the table, and it's not anywhere where it's supposed to be. So, next week we should be able to, for certain, be able to give receipts and start using the POS system the way it was designed to be used. Okay?
Are there any plans at all to maybe remodel the kitchen to make it more efficient?
We,
Design?
the back side of the kitchen, we do have some money in the capital budget for replacing equipment. Some of the equipment that is included in here. But to remodel the entire kitchen, probably not. The kitchen is actually pretty efficiently laid out. It just is a matter of using it the way it needs to be used. And the biggest change we could make that would be that would have the greatest impact on service would be to redo the serving line right inside those doors, reorganizing that whole area. But that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of planning to get to that point.
One thing is just wondering what the status is on the request from the Building and Grounds Committee for additional work or additional benches outside. Is that going to be in the budget, or is that going to be taken care of?
That is in this budget. I overlooked it on the impossibly small print. So it's in here somewhere. We did budget it for it. Yeah.
A couple more questions I have from our Building and Grounds Committee, which didn't meet, but one of the things that we're concerned about is the changeover in which gasoline motors will be eliminated by, I think, 2024, I believe it is. Are there any, have you had any conversations with our grounds maintenance company about eliminating gasoline engines on their mowers and equipment?
I have not had an opportunity to do have that conversation with Umberto, but I'm certain that Johan will.
I will. Yep.
And as Johan completes his embedding, he'll be meeting with all the contractors that we use and looking at their contracts, reviewing things like that with them. So I've been a little focused on on my evening job and preventing COVID.
Another thing that is wondering about there's some items that are still stored on the parking lot under blue cover. Are they going to remove shortly, or are they going to stay there forever?
That's a Hyundai underneath those. It's a car cover. Yeah, we were planning to move. There are 2 desks that are left out there. One of those desks is going to my office, and the other desk is up for grabs. Any takers? And so when we have the manpower, when we have the free time to do it, they will be doing it. It's not been the last month and a half. It's not been a priority.
One other item I had here. These are items that would have been at our regular meeting. However, we weren't able to meet because we didn't have a quorum. But one of the items we were talking about, or we're going to talk about, is that some of our residents during the holiday season, they felt the Christmas. The reason I can't see very good, I had my eyes worked on this morning.
So I know what your question is. There was a comment that came up about the Christmas decorations and primarily about the inflatables.
Right.
There were 2 inflatables. There was the giant welcoming greeting snowman out front, and then there's the arch, in the courtyard. And people stop and take pictures with the arch all the time. Nobody's ever complained about it. The big snowman was supposed to have a big sign with it that said "Welcome to the Carlotta," but the sign never got made. So you know, decorations, I'll go back to 2017, way back. When I came the first Christmas and I saw all the decorations that went up, I got hit with, I hate these decorations. And then I love these decorations. I hate these decorations. These look terrible. And it was back and forth, back and forth. It's something that is not objective. It's very subjective to what you're used to, what you like, and you know what you think is appropriate and not appropriate. So we tried to accommodate some of that. You know, I agreed with the orange and the blue. I didn't think it was very Christmassy, and that's what led to the change of those. But as far as the other decorations, you know, people love them, people don't like them. It's what it is.
Can you do?
Yes, Karen.
The Christmas decorations. The arch, I noticed, is all stained. There's big stains on it, and that isn't attractive to me.
The lights are out on some of the Christmas tree and the arch, the little things around it on the ground. Also the candy canes, the cross candy canes on the poles. Some are falling apart. Others are very faded.
Yeah.
And if we could just kind of update the Christmas decorations out in the courtyard.
Yeah, the little tinsel candy canes, those were discarded. They just got faded from the sun and stuff, so they're gone already. And you know, the last couple years we haven't put money into the Christmas decorations because we haven't had the money to put into Christmas decorations. So as we come about, we'll, you know, when we can, we do. Okay?
I have a question about the telephone. I don't use my house telephone, only as house telephone. Will that involve the Spectrum, or can I be calling the front desk for my phone?
No, when you switch over to Spectrum or whatever, you know, telephone service you use, you would have to call the front desk with a 7-digit number.
Oh, okay. That's silly.
The usual question.
Meeting's over. No, the meeting's over. We're still targeting January 31st.
What year?
It may be us.
Yes, of 2022. And so it's going to be very abbreviated. I'll be right up front with you right now. It's going to be very, very abbreviated in how we're opening, but if we don't take that first step, we're never going to walk. So we're doing it on the 31st, and you know, it might be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Maybe tuna fish if you're good. Yeah, and definitely reservations.
Will lunch service in the dining room be halted?
Yes. Yeah, so when we open CC's, we definitely won't have the manpower to have lunch available in both areas. So the Mark will go back to being a dinner-only venue, and then CC's will fill the breakfast and lunch. Okay? But, yep, the 31st. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you all for your time.
That was very intense.